Hello and welcome back to the FPL Tom YouTube channel. Sorry for the delay. It's been about half an hour since this stream was meant to start. But if you haven't seen already, go to my Twitter or go to the link that I've put in with the Twitter tweet. That was the state of Jake's laptop. And that's what we were trying to deal with, to be honest. So a little bit of carnage. But that's the way these things go on these streams. It's never smooth. It's never easy. There's always a little bit of mess, to be honest. But overall, we're back for the new season. We're going to go through our drafts in today's streams. We're also going to talk about Gyokeres. We're also going to talk about defensive contributions as well, whether or not we think they're going to be, important metrics to be monitoring throughout the course of this new season. And, of course, answering all of your guys' questions. There's already some great comments coming in around Jake's laptop as well. So do keep them coming in as well. Before we start as well, I just want to say thank you for 15k subscribers on the channel. We absolutely smashed the pre-season goal for this season, so just keep coming. And you know what, I never thought we'd get to 15k, to be honest. There's periods where me and Jake were probably just speaking to his mum as a live stream, but we're here now with like 50 people sat in the chat already, so it's only going to get bigger. And yeah, like I said, thank you very much. Jake, my man, how are you feeling at the start of pre-season? What are your kind of early thoughts? What do you think to the changes that have come into the game? And are you ready for the new season?
I believe so. I'm as ready as I've ever been for the start of a season when it comes to fantasy football. I think having you in my life has made me find it pretty much impossible to not be sucked into this year on year, and it just gets more infectious as each season comes. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I think there is plenty of scope this season, a lot more versatility with the player picks you can have. I am still a little bit in the dark regarding the defensive positivity with the potential benefit to the likes of the CDMs that have always been neglected on this game. But yeah, it's very promising. There's a hell of a lot of new stars that have come to this league now, so that's really enticing, very tempting, and maybe too tempting, because you got to be careful not to have too many of the unknown into added to your team before they've actually proved themselves.
Yeah. One of the big changes as well for this season, two lots of FPL chips as well. What are you making of that? Do you like that change, or do you think it's maybe ruined the game a little bit?
No, I like it. It ruins my tactic because I triple captained in game week 2, I believe, last year. So
Yeah.
it just means that I'll be amongst a lot of other people should I do that again. But no, I think it's good. I think it once again drags you in. It's just the nature of the game, really, that they are trying to find ways to suck you in to play it, to load up the app more often, and that will certainly do it, because if you're going to play it seriously this year, you have to be on the ball, because there are, what does that mean? There are 6 chips over the season?
Eight.
8, maybe even more than I first thought.
Yeah, because you've got your 2 wild cards still, haven't you?
And will like an assistant manager come on potentially again?
That's gone. That's dead.
Was it really that? Was it just didn't have good reviews?
No, they didn't like it, so that's gone.
Fair enough. Well, 8 is more than enough to get you hooked in and to make sure that you're on the ball, because you don't want to get to January and be like, oh, I didn't utilize my free hit on my triple captain, and then all of a sudden you only get the one for the season. So yeah, keeps people thinking. It also means that there's that opportunity for a bit of versatility with who you'd go for or who you'd punt on.
Yeah, agreed. I think it's going to be a really fun season, like you said. I think it's definitely going to boost engagement over the year, because you get some people that just play the first few weeks, they spunk all the chips, and then that's it. There's no real incentive for them to come back to the game once they've done all that. Whereas this year they can do that, and then they get a fresh set to spunk all over again around Christmas time. So, I think it's good for the casuals, and it was something I was calling for as well.
Well, they must have listened to you, Tom. It must be purely because of you.
I did get some clout on Twitter for it. I did put it as like one of the suggestions for this year. I just think it's going to make the first half of the season really interesting, to be honest. Because the sensible managers, not calling you not sensible by the way, but usually just hold on to all the chips for the end, like till the end of the season when the double game weeks arise. Whereas now you can do that anyway and still be a good manager, but you've also got this first 19 game weeks to navigate with the chips, and I think it's not only good for the casuals, it's good for the content creators as well, because every week it's like, well, we can do a free hit draft this week, a triple captain, a bench boost. It's great for content, so it's good. I'm a big fan of it. Looking in the chat already, I can see golden goals in here. By the way, if you want to go and check out Tom's channel as well, please feel free to. He's also just hit 15k subscribers as well. But please make sure you are using my Fantasy Football Hub link, not his. Like, come on, support this channel. Don't send him a sub because he's making great content. But really support me with the Fantasy Football Hub link. Like I said, that is the pinned comment in today's stream. If you want to go and get your team rated for free by AI, me and Jake will do that next week with our teams, or whenever we stream again. We'll get the hub tool to rate our teams as well. But head over, go and check it out, and get your team rated for free by the AI tool. It's really, really good and decent. Let's start off first, Jake. We're going to talk about a new signing that came in the game yesterday, I believe his price was announced. It is Victor Gyokeres coming in at 9 million, Arsenal's new striker, off the back of 2 very impressive seasons for Sporting. What are you making of him? Do you think he's a good addition to the game? Do you like his price? And is he going in your game week 1 draft?
Well, I do like him. I think he's got a lot of potential. Of course, he hasn't got that Premier League experience, but he's got plenty of experience playing against the top Premier League sides. I remember he scored a hat-trick in the Champions League against City. Of course, I think he might have scored from the spot a couple of times, but he's clearly got that ability to have jumped up from the Championship to the title contenders. Did they win the league, Sporting? I don't actually know.
I'm pretty sure they did.
But they were certainly there or thereabouts. And so for him to come to the Prem, I think it's just it's a good next step for him. I know we have had history. I'm a little bit still struggling with a bit of PTSD from signing a Portuguese Thunder goal scorer, and it doesn't work out. But I think he's got something about him for sure. I think 9 million is probably what you'd expect when he plays for Arsenal.
Yeah.
If he had signed maybe for someone else, you could have knocked a million off his value. But when Arsenal are so desperate for a striker, and when Arsenal are going to be pushing for the title, no doubt, I think that makes perfect sense, because you'd imagine he's a banker to play all of the games this season if he's fit. Well, maybe bar the first couple, should he get induced into the squad slowly. But it's a promising signing for Arsenal. I think it's one that they've been screaming for years.
Yeah.
Will I have him? I'm not sure. I'm not yes or no, to be honest. I'm not against the idea. I think that really depends on what my strategy is, because I am going to try, at least for the first few weeks until I drop into the millions in rank, I am going to try and take it seriously and use my brain, but also not go gung-ho on gambles.
Yeah.
I know last year I fell for the new signings, and my team was full of them. And even though I'm sure we'll look at the drafts that we've done, I've still fallen for a couple of them. But I want to be a bit more sensible. However, there is that debate of whether, with these chips now coming in, I don't want to spoil any content we've got in this stream. I don't actually know what you're about to talk about, but game week 3, I don't know if that is something you were going to talk about, but with the Liverpool and Arsenal game, I think that what my strategy is around that game would decide whether I have Gyokeres in from the start or not.
Yeah, I think you've raised a really, really good point there. And it's something that I'm recommending to people to do this season that I wouldn't usually recommend, is actually have a plan of when you want to play these chips. Because in previous seasons, it's pretty much been the advice of just do it at the back end of the year when all the doubles come in. Save them, be sensible. This year, obviously with them resetting, you need to have an idea of when you want to play them, especially that free hit chip. And I think, like you said, game week 3 is going to be a very popular game week where I think people are going to be looking at activating that free hit chip. They've got, obviously, Liverpool versus Arsenal. There's some good one-sided fixtures in there that you can definitely load up on as well. I think game week 5 and game week 6 are being tipped as well as potential other weeks. But I guess it all depends on your team, where your team looks weak, where your team looks strong, and kind of the plans around it as well. So there's a lot to think about, especially this first part of the season, I think. And I think, like you said, game week 3, if you're going to load up on Arsenal and Liverpool, probably going to be an ideal week for a free hit. Get those guys out, then of course load up on some other teams as well. So yeah, definitely a great point. I'm not sure whether or not he starts the season. I think Mikel Arteta being Mikel Arteta, he's definitely just going to whack Havertz in for the first game. It just would be so Mikel Arteta. I guess the positive thing is we have got quite a few more Arsenal pre-season games to see whether or not he's going to play before making our mind up. But I think from my perspective, if you want Gyokeres in, I think the ideal probably point is going to be after that Liverpool and City game, so like match day 6 onwards. And that's where Arsenal have a really good turn of fixtures. So if you want a player that's going to play decent minutes at the start of the year and is a similar price, go Watkins. Villa's fixtures are really good. You know he's going to play. Then you can make the move to Gyokeres and see how he's settled within the Premier League over those opening 5 or 6 match days. So I think that would probably be the play for me personally on Gyokeres at the moment.
How seriously are you taking the Watkins rumours?
I've seen them today, but I don't get why he would leave. Like, unless United are going to make him an absolutely ridiculous offer, I really don't see the appeal of joining United rather than staying at Villa. Because he's gonna be first choice. There's not another striker there, is there? John Duran's gone. He's not got to worry about some young competitor.
Yeah, Rashford hasn't come back, etc. Yeah,
exactly. I think he's just going to be the main guy. Emery absolutely loves him as well. I don't see that move happening for me personally. Like, there's got to be mad money, I think, to get him. Which maybe United are going to offer. They do need a forward, so maybe it's one of those. Maybe they go and get Benjamin Sesko as well. That's the other rumour that's being touted around. But knowing United, probably not going to go and get anyone, are they?
Yeah, well, we shall see. I mean, like, you'd argue they need to ship Xerxes or Højlund or both if they're going to bring in a mega money striker. Yeah. And so maybe that's the priority at the moment, whether they can get one of those players off the books. Yeah. Otherwise, will they maybe give Højlund another year, give Xerxes another shout? Who knows? You're right.
Yeah. Like I said, I think there's definitely some credibility in the reports that are coming out, but I just personally can't see it myself happening or coming off. But maybe I'm going to be wrong, and maybe I'm going to end up with egg on my face. Who knows? Right, let's move on then. Let's take a look at how your team is lining up. Your first draft that you've sent me. I feel so privileged. Talk me through it. Talk me through the players that you like, the players that you potentially don't like, and anybody that you've maybe missed out on in this draft that you would like to get in for future weeks.
Yeah, right. So, I did this the day it came out. I thought I'd beaten the lot of you, but I was still 200,000th or something with my gamer ID, so I was still too slow. But yeah, I've still got my quirky ways about me, but of course this is because I did it just to make sure I had a team, and then I was going to fiddle around with it as time went on. I think from the start you can see that I've got Martinez in goal, who is he injured or suspended?
Suspended.
Right, so he's not going to come back until mid-August, I'd imagine. But like last season, that was one of the few things that actually was quite a solid move from myself. Something you recommended and then completely went against from day one was to have 2 of the same team in goal, just so you're backing yourself in case that player is ever benched or dropped or something, so you're not having to waste your time when the big games come up. And that kind of paid off. Well, it paid off as best as it could, because Jordan Pickford for me last year got most of his big points against the bigger teams, where I probably would have opted to drop him for whoever I would have had on my bench. So I think I'm going to go through that route again. Villa, I've gone for them just because I don't really feel like I'm going to go throughout the whole season requiring more than 3 players. So I can kind of accept fate maybe with the one. That may be something that I play with before the deadline anyway. It was just preliminary thinking, and also the fact that it's just a little bit different, but Villa are going to be up there. Yeah, and then the defence, I think, speaks for itself. Some solid options. I think that there was I think Porro and Wan-Bissaka probably stand out the most as the most popular of the picks, but I think there's a good shout for Tarkowski and for Milenkovic from their seasons they've just had.
Yeah.
Um, Brennan Johnson, yeah, I think that's just purely for the fact that Spurs have got a good start. Um, Rodgers at home to Newcastle. I mean, he was a great find. He may prove to be too expensive now because, of course, he was that cheap option that was gold dust. He's not so much that bargain anymore.
No.
So we'll soon find out if that's worthwhile the money. Yeah, Salah Vert. I think there's my first punt on a new signing. I think you've got to be a little bit biased if you're a football fan. You're going to want to play your star players, and I think Vert speaks for himself. I don't think I need to defend myself too much, but I will also accept that we need to see how the sides how they turn up on the pitch. Who knows if he starts the game? You'd imagine he would, but like you say with Arteta and Gyokeres, maybe Slot will have his own mind because there are a lot of players fighting for the same place.
Yeah.
So, that remains to be seen, but I can't imagine Vert will fail to feature against Bournemouth, and Bournemouth does seem like a good game to be backing Liverpool for. And then up front, at this moment in time, I've gone for Beto. I think Everton should be all right this season. I get it, Leeds away is a bit of a tricky one, but I think for the start of the season, they're not looking too bad in fixtures. And then João Pedro, I think, was excellent. We were just speaking behind the scenes whilst I was punching my computer. We were speaking about how good Pedro was in front of goal for Chelsea in the Club World Cup, how he's got that Premier League experience. And so, like you said, Tom, he's not really like a new signing. He's more just changed his shirt a little bit.
Yeah.
And then at my bench, I'm not too fussed about my bench so far. Like I say, we've already spoken about the Villa aspect. I don't mind. I think just a bit of a punt. I think at the start of the season, there's always that underdog that maybe the top three that came up will go back down again. But there's always a little bit of fire in those bellies. And I think Sunderland playing at home to West Ham, they've also got a couple of decent games. Burnley away, then Brentford at home after that. I think if they can't get anything out of those three games, then they are going to be a rock bottom team. So why not make a little punt on them now, because it's not going to cost me too much.
Yep.
Turkey, who knows? It's Pep roulette. We all know that, but he has featured quite a bit in the Club World Cup. Looked bright, and with De Bruyne gone, I feel like he could slot in there. And then Esteve, I think, was just cheapness. But I've still got 3.5 mil on the bank. There are plenty of players I coulda, woulda, shoulda. There's plenty of time for me to debate that. Like I say, I do like the idea of free hitting game week 3, which would maybe open the door to some Arsenal assets, because I know I am glaringly missing Arsenal assets. However, of course, Arsenal's start to the season is quite difficult in comparison to a lot of teams that have the star players, should we say. And then, I guess it remains to be seen on how those players start. And of course, the elephant in the room of where does Isak start?
Yeah, that's a great point, to be honest, mate. It is. I think a lot of people's teams are going to be very dependent on where Alexander Isak is come the first game week as well. I think that's the big bit of transfer news we're going to be waiting for. I actually don't mind the Sunderland punt, Those opening three fixtures are pretty decent. The Burnley game as well feels like one maybe they could get something out of. West Ham defensively last year were really bad for large parts
At home
of the
as
season.
well to West Ham.
Yeah, first game back after, 6 or 8 years out of the Premier League now. That for me feels like they're going to be right up for that one as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind João Pedro. I think Beto could be a risk with them signing, is it Barry, their other new forward, who they paid
Thierry Barry.
30 million for.
Yeah.
So I think maybe Beto's a little bit of a risky one. Johnson and Porro were going to be able to see Spurs play in the Super Cup before the first game of the season, so you imagine maybe that's going to give some inclination to who's going to play. Maybe Kudus, maybe Johnson on that right hand side, potentially. I like Tarkowski, I like Milenkovic, I like Wan-Bissaka. I think they're very solid picks. I don't mind Esteve as well. I think he's probably one of the standout 4 million picks. This is probably, Jake, one of the best first drafts you've ever sent me. There's a few issues.
It's a high bar, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a few issues in it, but at the same time, I actually think it's one of the better ones you've ever sent me. So, yeah. Have you thought about when you're going to bench boost?
No, to be honest with you, mate, I haven't. I'm open to suggestions with that. The only thing I had looked at was the start of the season was, of course, you want to get those top four, top six teams, as many players of each that you can. And I have quite clearly left Arsenal players out because of their start to the season, even though they're potentially playing one of the easiest fixtures at first against United.
Mm.
But game week 3, that was what stood out to me. Do I free hit there?
Yeah.
Other than that, I haven't really thought about it. Do you have a recommendation?
I've got two strategies. I'm thinking potentially getting rid of the bench boost early. Because you kind of probably can predict the full 15 that are going to play right from probably game week 1. The other good thing about it is then I don't have to worry about getting a playing goalkeeper further down the line or putting more money into my bench. Because once I've got it out of the way in game week 1, then I can start to strip some assets from the bench if I really wanted to.
Yeah.
And start putting more money into the starting 11 over the course of the season. Say if you, for example, went Maeda, 5.5 million, you get the bench boost out of the way after Sunderland's good fixtures, you realistically probably could drop him down to a 4.5, free yourself up an extra million to then again put back into the squad. So that's kind of my thinking at the moment. Get the bench boost just out of the way. It's the worst chip out of the lot and not worry about it. Because I think some people are saying do it a little bit later when you play the wild card. Or when we get the 5 free transfers for AFCON, people are saying do it then. But that's going to be probably your wildcard windows are going to be around Champions League football and European football. So maybe you're going to get some random benchings that always happen. Injuries are going to stack up. Then the other window people are looking at, it's going to be Christmas. Trying to get a full 15 playing squad around Christmas is going to be hard and difficult. Because everyone just drops players, random players start. It just seems like a little bit.
No, I completely understand your logic there.
Yeah,
It does make perfect sense. But then that would probably argue against trying to limit your new starters or your new signings, wouldn't it?
yeah, which I think you can do anyway. Like, how many new players have you got in here? 2, 3.
Yeah, yeah, 3.
3, which isn't too bad, and I think Wirtz will definitely play. I think João Pedro will probably start. Cherky's probably the one that is just the minutes gamble for me.
Mm.
He doesn't feel like he could come off the bench, whereas I feel Wirtz and João Pedro probably are going to start. In my opinion, so not a bad draft. I definitely think there's some room for improvement, and I'm hoping.
Haaland, what's your thought on that?
Well, this is the thing, mate. We'll get on to Mister Big Erling Haaland. I've got one draft with him in, one draft with him not in. So yeah, we can show both of those to everyone. I do want to just answer a few questions quickly before we obviously head into my teams. Any other thoughts you've had there, lad, or are you just gonna?
I've actually done a bit of homework for this
Oh.
stream, so I've actually got a few questions and comments to bring up throughout. So don't worry. We have spoken about my team for enough, but there are some things that I have got to ask you as we go along. But don't worry, unless you want me to ask, it's up to you.
Yeah. I was set on a bench boost game week 1 until they gave us a second one because you're going to lose it in the short run. Yeah. I mean, you're just going to get rid of it anyway. If Eze stays, he would be a solid pick. Also, Ndai is an option. People have said for your midfield as well. Have you looked at Ndai potentially?
I've actually not. No, I've not really considered too many Everton attackers. The only reason I put Beto in, to be honest with you, was filler for the fact that I didn't know who to put my striker money on because I have got 3.5 million still in the bank. I don't think Beto. Well, I don't think an Everton striker actually does start my season. But then, yeah, he's bright, but can you bank on him? Away at Leeds, hard game. I do fancy Everton to start the season stronger than they have in the past, but like we say, like I said, like the newly promoted side should surely have a bit of oomph about them at the start of the season.
Yeah, that's usually when they're the best, before they've obviously played City, Liverpool, Chelsea.
Get grounded a little bit.
Exactly, and they've faced a few bummings off like a Brentford as well. They're a little bit confident at that point, and then their confidence just falls off a cliff. We're not going to do any team ratings in today's video. We'll probably put in another stream either this week or maybe next week for some team ratings, so we'll do those ones in there. But yeah, we'll answer some more questions in a little bit. Let's head on to my draft that I showcased in today's video. If you haven't already watched that, I highly recommend it. I talk obviously a lot more in depth about the team and the selection. So let me talk you through this team. This is my Palmer and Salah team. I've been working on a no Salah team as well. So in goal, I've got Kelleher from Brentford. I've got Tarkowski, Murillo, Gabriel as a back three. Palmer, Salah, and Dye, Rogers, and Elliot Anderson. And then up front, I've got João Pedro and Solanke. On the bench is Kinski, Evan Nilsson, Steve, and Konza. What are you making of that, lad? Are you a fan? Are you not a fan? Any players you hate? Any players you like?
Well, yeah, there's plenty of players I like. It's very differential, I'll give you that. You've got Salah and Palmer, but I think for some reason it looks very much like it could go under the radar rather than standing out as like a bold move, if you get what I mean. There's a lot of players that could either hit or miss. I do. Is Anderson someone because of his defensive aspect and the points there?
Yeah, he's purely for defensive contributions.
Are the likes of Caicedo, Gravenberch, are they going to benefit or not so much?
Yeah, so Caicedo was the highest scoring player from this metric last year. He picked up 42 additional points if it was in the game last year. Elliot Anderson picked up 36, 37, 38. I can't remember.
So is it like ball recoveries then?
Yeah, so it's ball recoveries, tackles, clearances. And obviously you played EFL Fantasy last year as well, and you know that is a little bit of a broken metric in terms of the clearances.
Yeah.
So they've capped it that you can only get 2 points from it when your player gets 10 contributions for defenders, 12 for midfielders. I'm kind of glad they capped it. Otherwise, everyone would be rocking with like 5 at the back.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, like Murillo was one of the leading players for it. Tarkowski was the leading player for it last season. Elliot Anderson was one of the top ones for midfielders as well. So I've got a graphic I can show you now. I can bring it up on screen. So this is from last season. This is what FPL put out. It's just the defensive contributions for the defenders at the moment. So this is how the top point scoring players would have looked last year if defensive contribution points would have been added. So it goes Milenkovic, Murillo, Van Dijk, Gvardiol, Collins as your top 5 defenders from last season for points. Munoz, Trent, Tarkowski, Lacroix, and then Dean Højlund. So these points that you can see here are going to massively affect the game, in my opinion. Because as you can see there, effectively, James Tarkowski and Trent played roughly the same amount of games last season, and there's a 6-point difference between the two of them. So yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's quite. I think it's going to be quite a broken metric.
It's a good way. You've got to freshen it up, though. I like it.
Oh yeah. I think it's making picks like Murillo, Tarkowski actually probably going to be very popular come the start of the season. To be honest, I put a tweet out earlier as well talking about this, and I got absolutely battered for it. Some people saying it's not worth it. It's not going to be. What were people saying? I can't remember. Anyway, last season the highest goal involvement defender was Ait-Nouri. He got 7 goals, 4 assists, I want to say. Maybe I'm incorrect on that one. So 11 overall. He scored 46 points just from those attacking returns. Tarkowski scored 44 just from defensive contributions. So you get into...
And then Tarkowski scored a couple as well.
Exactly. Then you start factoring in these players. Like Tarkowski is an aerial threat. He's quite dominant from set pieces as well. So it's just one of those where it's like, yeah, you've got your flashy attacking players, but they're always minutes risks. Like your wing backs always, sometimes they don't make 60. Sometimes they come off early. Whereas these guys are going to be playing your full 90 minutes. They're going to be picking up these points every other week with the way it's pretty much scoring. So why would you not select some of these guys?
Literally.
So yeah, that's kind of the thought process with the back line. I can't remember which one's the right one. I hope it's this one. Yeah, it's this one. Cool. So yeah, that's the thought process with the back line. Obviously, Gabriel and Arsenal, they're one of the best defences. Of course, as well, he's an absolute giant from set pieces. And you know Arteta Pulis is going to be targeting that again this season. I like Palmer and Salah. I think they're both great options. I think Rodgers, once they get past the Newcastle fixture, they don't play any of last season's top 8 for like 7 weeks. Which just seems absolutely ludicrous. So definitely target them. And Dye, probably going to be the penalty taker for Everton. You know, I absolutely rim-lick penalties. Solanke as well. Looks like Son's off to the MLS. So that's going to make him the penalty taker for Spurs. Again, 7.5. Can score goals. Evan Nielsen and Bournemouth, quite a good attack as well. The only problem is I don't think I'd be able to bench boost with this team because we're unsure about whether or not Kinski's going to be first choice. But yeah, I'd like to, you know, get your thoughts on this bad boy. What are you liking? What are you hating?
Well, I like Palmer and Salah. I think that's great. I like João Pedro because I've got him in.
Yep.
I think you make a good shout for Solanke. Didn't realise someone was leaving. And then I think you've made a massive. Well, you've provided plenty of evidence just now in the previous slide for your back three.
Yeah.
I think they'll all be great. I think Esteve could be excellent for that, especially in the tough games, the likes of the relegation sides. I think Dan Ballard at Sunderland, I imagine he'll have a lot of impact on these points when he's playing the big sides that are constantly pumping balls at him. Yeah, I like it. I think it just depends on whether those are the right two strikers really at the end of the day, because there are plenty of strikers that are more lucrative. Then it's just whether you'll miss out on them with this way of looking at it. But yeah, I like that you've got Salah and Palmer, and I think it's a solid back three. I'm not sure about Brentford. I really am not sure about Brentford this season. I like Kelleher, don't get me wrong. But as opposed to Pickford, who will keep clean sheets in games you least expected it, I do fear for Brentford a little bit.
Yeah, I think with Pickford's price rise this year, though, paying 5.5 million for the Everton goalkeeper doesn't feel right with me. When I could get
and I agree. I do agree.
You can get Tarkowski for the same price, and he gets DEFCON points.
Yeah. And I completely get that, but I guess at the end of the day, you want the most points you can. How much is Kelleher? 5?
4.5.
Then in that case, it kind of it spares up that extra million. So if you can spend it elsewhere, then I guess you've got to prioritise the outfield, because Kelleher will do something now and again. I just don't feel like Brentford are going to be the most formidable defence this season.
Yeah, a lot of people are, I think, saying Brentford are going to go down this year.
I don't think they'll go down. I just think they need to maybe invest, because they've only got they've got Vissa, they've got Thiago, who's been injured for God knows how long.
Yeah.
They need to invest, and I know they've got. I know you're one of the biggest fans of their format, considering you're a lifelong Bumblebee. But yeah, I think they need to pull the finger out and sign some players.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the Brentford way, really. Every season they sell off their best assets, and somehow manage to do even better. Like, you can literally load up Transfermarkt, go back every season, and you'll go, oh, they actually sold their best players there and did better. Like, you just like, how does that make sense as well? But yeah, I think there may be one to monitor. Like you said, they weren't a great defence last year either, so maybe Kelleher's not the pick. I'm just not a big fan of all the 4.5s this year. Kelleher, Verbergen, Petrovic, Areola, they're your 4 that none of them fill me with confidence. But at the same time, it's goalkeepers, and every year I tell you this, goalkeepers are just the worst position ever.
Yeah, and I can't really argue for those sides you've said. I think Brighton can be a bit hit and miss, and then of course Bournemouth might be losing both their centre halves this summer.
Exactly. You don't. That's like, at least Brentford have kept the same back line intact.
Yeah.
So yeah. One to see. Let's showcase this non-Salah draft then. I built this the other day, and it would be a bench boost in game week 1, and I'll talk you through it. So we've got the same back line. The same players are here. Konza, Wan-Bissaka, Tarkowski, Gabriel, Murillo. We've got Palmer, Rodgers, and Dye, Anderson. Then our front three of Solanke, Haaland, Watkins. This is the thing, right? It's ballsy to go without Salah. It really is. But it didn't stop me last year going without Haaland. And the reason I think I might do it is if you sign Isak, right? I could realistically downgrade Haaland after you've played Arsenal and bring in Isak, and I could upgrade and die to Wirtz. So why would I not have probably maybe 2 of the best attackers rather than Mohamed Salah? Now, Salah is of course in his own different class for large parts of like FPL for like probably the past decade. But it just feels like one of them where is he going to be worth the 14.5 million if I'm not going to be captaining him every single week? And if I feel personally he's probably not going to have as much goal share now that there's better players.
Yeah, I get that. I do like it. The only thing I would suggest is that Bournemouth at home in the first game is a really tricky game to not have any Liverpool assets for.
Yeah, ultimately, yeah, that could be one where I get absolutely rinsed by this, especially with all their centre back departures and stuff like that. It genuinely could be one of those where it's like, eesh, yeah, not great. But at the same time, with this team, I probably would free hit in game week 4 just to get triple Liverpool ahead of Burnley. That would probably be the plan. I like it. Like I said, I think it's a really well-built team that's got a lot of good balance to it. The only problem is no Salah. And if he goes off like he did last year, then I'm in big trouble. But
have you tried it? Have you done a draft of Salah and Haaland yet?
I have. It just doesn't quite work. It just doesn't hit right. I think this season it has to be one or the other. Maybe when we get more budget, there might be ways to manipulate it. But for right now, it just doesn't seem like it's possible, in my opinion. So yeah, this is the non-Salah team. But I like it. I do like it. It's just
Are you tempted to have Isak instead of Watkins from the start?
I would have to find an extra 1.5 million from somewhere.
How have you used all your funds on this?
Yeah, this is everything, and it would be a bench boost in game week 1. So maybe that bench boost in game week 1 could cover off Salah, maybe doing just all right. I don't know. It's a big one. It's a big one. It is a big decision to make, but like I said, I think if Isak joins, I'm probably more tempted with this.
Yep, sound.
Yeah. Nice. Cool. Let's see what's going off in the chat, see if we've got any questions. People aren't a fan, I don't think, of this attack. They don't like it, I don't think. I've prematurely brought in Isak and Guéhi into my team, hoping that I can get 5 Liverpool players to start the season. I think the game will ask you in game week 2 then to make it will get you to remove those 2 Liverpool players, so you will be just stuck, forced to make certain transfers. That's the only problem with that one.
Well, would it make them make minuses?
No, it wouldn't make them make minuses, but it would be like you need to take this player out before you can bring in anyone else, basically. Like, it'd be like the only 2 players you could select would be the Liverpool ones to take out. Richards over Konza. Thoughts? Good for DEFCON. Yeah, Richards' numbers were great last year for the defensive contributions. Konza's were miserable. The reason I've gone with Konza is he actually rotates extremely nicely with the Arsenal defence. So if you did want to go for an Arsenal defender, Konza is probably the play there for that one. Would you go for Marmoush in a Haaland-only draft? I think if I'm going Marmoush, I'm not going to have Haaland. I don't know what you think about that one either, lads. What are your thoughts on Marmoush? Do you think he's a good option this year, or?
Yeah, I do. Certainly do. I think he's going to have a good season. I think he needs to have a good season because he's got the talent which he showed last season, and now there is that big gulf in midfield missing. Granted, De Bruyne was slowly flagging, I think,
Hmm.
but the fact that he isn't even in the changing rooms will mean that the likes of himself will have to step it up. But yeah, I think Marmoush will be a good player, and I think he's a good argument for saving your money on Haaland.
Okay. Okay. Nice. Yeah. I think his minutes were very, very secure. Large parts of last season since he joined. I think only maybe Gvardiol played more minutes. So yeah. Do you think the meta this year is going to be having 5 centre backs given their value to points? I think yeah. I think these defenders, that especially the ones that get the DEFCON points and play for a decent defence, probably going to score quite well this season. Are they going to be, worth rolling with a full back 5? I'm not 100% sure. I'd maybe just leave myself a little bit open and have at least one defender that can attack a little bit. I think, if it doesn't work out over the opening few weeks, Munoz is a similar price, so I could probably just move to him if it weren't to work out for me. Thoughts on Strand Larsen, Jake? Do you reckon he's a good asset?
Not at the start. I would want to see how the season starts off. Have they got a tricky start after City?
It's mixed, I believe. It's pretty mixed.
I think Wolves are an interesting one with Cunha being gone. I
Mm.
know they played some half decent football with him not in the squad, and then he came back and still did really well. But they are very inconsistent a team, is all I have to say.
Nice. I was like, where's he going with this one? I thought you had more to offer us, but
No, I just think that they're not very consistent to be able to support them fully.
yeah.
And their two best players have left.
True. All right, I can get on board with that. Abby has said she thinks Anderson from Fulham is a good defender for DEFCON. Agreed. He was one of the top scoring ones at 4.5, so he could be a decent option. What other questions have we got in here? We'll do some team ratings, like I said, on another stream a little bit later in the week. What were your questions you had for me, mate? You said you had some homework prepared.
I've got a few questions here, actually, to be fair.
Go on,
I
sausage.
think I have touched on a few of them. So we've got, well, first one was, what do you think of Nori over Wan-Bissaka? Now, do you think Wan-Bissaka, because of his defensive points, will be clutch there, or?
I think he actually scored quite well for defensive contributions last season, so I think he's a good option at 4.5. Also, can attack, so it gives you a little bit of the.
Who, Wan-Bissaka?
Yeah, he got 8 goal involvements last season, and looked a
So
lot
for that
better in the
1.5 mil extra, it's not worth the upgrade to Nori.
I think with 8 as well. Does it's Pep roulette? Like, does he just go into that team straight away? I don't know. You genuinely don't know with. To be honest,
fair
with
enough.
Pep, you never do. Go on. What other questions have you got?
So of course, the big one that I think I would say I decided to go for was the Villa goalkeepers, and I was thinking, what if I did both Arsenal goalkeepers, because they're bound to be up there with the Golden Glove. And do you think I'll regret not having, do you think I will desperately need Saka and Gyokeres, or Saliba and Gyokeres, or Saliba and Saka? Because I can only imagine in my head I'm going to desperately need 2 at one point. Or do you think I should be keeping the Arsenal players free just in case?
I would say I'd be looking to keep my top teams free.
Yeah.
At all times, especially with Saka and Gyokeres. Like, they both could be great assets this year. Like, if Saka manages to keep penalties and is assisting Gyokeres, but Gyokeres is still scoring, you probably want both.
Yeah.
They're probably keeping clean sheets at the back as well. Maybe Gabriel's just bullet header after bullet header again. Like, it just feels to me that's probably going to be the play, to be honest.
What's your thoughts on Saka? I've not even thought of him. Let's just start. Now that we're talking about him, we've not mentioned him.
I think if he loses penalties, that's him done as an asset.
Really?
Yeah, I just think that's him done, really, as an asset for me personally. When you're paying 10 million for a guy that's not got penalties, like, I know he's going to be playing for a good attack, but I still just think if Gyokeres has got them and is firing them in, he's the Arsenal attacker you go for.
Yeah, fair enough. To be honest, we've touched on most of the other things. Like I say, Sunderland have got a good start. I think they're probably my own, like my wild, like my what's the word?
Differential
My
team.
Yeah, my differential team to start with. I'm not saying they're going to go on some mad one and stay up. I think it's a long season, but I think if they're going to have any chance of not finishing rock bottom,
Mm.
then it's this first 3 game weeks. So they really need to make the most of them. And then yeah, I've said Newcastle, Forest, Brentford, bit of uncertainty. Not sure. Like Brentford have lost their two main players. Well, they've lost Mbuemo and their manager. Newcastle, they've been rejected more times than I don't want to take. I mean, I'm not going to say what I was thinking, but they've been rejected a lot. Well, I swear it's like five of their targets have rejected them.
Yeah.
And on certain situations, like I've just seen Trafford signed for City for, I swear, less than Newcastle agreed.
Yeah.
Um, and now the Isak like saga, like that's going to have an effect on Newcastle, surely.
Hmm.
Of course, it depends on if Isak stays. I imagine I'd be very surprised if Isak stays. He doesn't continue his great form. I think he's a professional, and I think if he does stay, he will suck it up and play just as good as he did last season.
Oh yeah.
But the
100%.
question is, should he leave? Who do they bring in to replace him? And then, of course, Forest. I feel I'm a bit reluctant to mention anything bad about Forest in case I don't wake up tomorrow morning, to be honest. Because that was one of the weirdest interviews I think I've ever seen. And one of the weirdest situations I think I've ever seen because it just seemed like a done deal that Gibbs. I swear even Romano would here we go it as well.
Yeah, that did definitely seem like a little bit of a weird one.
Mm,
Um,
so strange all around there. So they're teams that I've just been a bit reluctant about, but of course I have Milenkovic in. Although fortunately your data sheets have seemed to back my player pick up there.
well, if
And then
you look at the
go on,
Forest fixtures as well, though, they're quite good over the start of the
yeah.
season. So
But like of course you'd be tempted to have maybe a Gibbs White, but maybe not this time. I don't know. Not sure. See how the season starts. The same with Chris Wood. You've got plenty of new aspects that can maybe overwhelm him. And then yeah, the last thing I was going to say, which is something I don't really need to bring up because you haven't actually done it either, but I just feel like I've seen on Twitter and stuff quite a lot that a lot of people are backing the likes of Frimpong and Kirkes, and I feel like that's a little bit premature because I don't feel like either of them start against Bournemouth.
yeah, I agree. I think maybe Frimpong doesn't start the first game,
Mm.
or
I
maybe
think there's a good chance Robertson plays over Kirkes as well.
yeah, like it's just one of them, innit? Where like I don't know. And then you look at the fixtures you've got after that. Like Newcastle, if of course Isak stays, is he going to play like a marauding right back who basically plays as a right winger?
Yeah.
Maybe not. He's going to play maybe somebody a bit more astute. Leeds, I think you'll be fine. You'll probably actually no, you've not got Leeds. I'm looking at Newcastle.
Newcastle.
Then Arsenal. Like
Newcastle, yeah,
I
Arsenal.
don't think it's a great set of opening 3 fixtures for attacking defenders. I think Van Dijk might be a good shout during that period because he'll probably do quite well for DEFCON. And I reckon you'll probably keep a clean sheet against Bournemouth. Not so sure about Arsenal. But
No, it should be interesting. And Newcastle away is always a tricky place to keep a clean sheet.
yeah, agreed. Maybe Visser might run you ragged if they get him through the line before the transfer window.
But that's going to be that has the potential to be one of the juiciest fixtures of the whole season and in game week 2.
Yeah, literally could be a classic.
Yeah.
What did you have any other questions for me, or was that?
No, I think the rest of them we kind of covered. I just made a few notes so I didn't look like a deer in headlights when questions came my way. Because yeah, I'm taking it serious this year. I probably said this last year, but yeah, I'll take it serious. And my eyes did light up when you even you recommended a bench boost in game week 1.
Hey lad, I genuinely think it's there. It's there for the taking in game week 1. If you can build an alright bench that, especially with these DEFCON points, if you pick like, say a Stev who could get 4 at Tottenham, like just 4 off a bench boost for a 4 million defender, great. Or a Sunderland player scores against West Ham, great. I just think the door is ajar if you want to go for it.
Yeah.
And I think it puts you ahead of everybody else because I don't think most people will be thinking, when do I play that chip? Or have even thought about the bench boost. They'll get to like game week 19 and go, bollocks. I'm going to take a -8 and bring in Van der Berg or whatever just to fill my bench. So yeah. Right. What questions do I want to ask you? I'm trying to think what questions I want to ask you. I want to ask you who you think is going to be this season's best differential at the start of the year, but is going to like become very mainstream template.
Good question.
Yeah.
I think first one that comes to my mind is João Pedro.
Okay.
As in, do you mean like someone that is just going to be in everyone's team because?
Oh, João
like,
Pedro's already in everyone's team. He's at 60% owned.
So do you mean someone a bit more rogue than that?
I mean someone who's probably going to start the season maybe below 10% or maybe around 15%. But by the end of the game or for periods of the game, he's going to be like 60. Everyone like Mbuemo last year. Started the season around that 10 to 15%, but by the end of the year was just absolutely in everybody's team.
Okay. Ooh, that's a good question. Have you got people that come to your mind?
I think Solanke could be.
Okay.
I think Thomas Frank does amazing things with strikers.
Jared Bowen's always got that about him, by the way.
Yeah.
He'll always sneak his way up there.
I think with him now being a forward, though, not as convinced. I think if he was a midfielder, I definitely would consider it. But yeah, I think Solanke for me gets penalties. If Thomas Frank can do bits with him as a striker, could be a great option.
Yeah, I think, yeah. To be honest, I think the likes of, like we've touched on, Cherki, Marmoush, they've both got good shouts, especially, like, I think Marmoush has got a good shout of being that. I do really feel like he could push up with Haaland. Maybe not simply goals, but goal contributions to make you think twice about having Haaland. So I think he's a good shout. I think Gakpo is someone that may go under the radar, but once again, we have absolutely no idea how Arne Slot's going to play 10 strikers that he's got. So it will be interesting. And then I think you've got to kind of keep an eye out on maybe like there's bound to be that cheap player, isn't there? There's bound to be that. Well, the Morgan Rogers, and that remains to be seen. I do really like Elliot Anderson. You know, I've watched him throughout that was it the Euros?
Yeah.
And he was excellent defensively, and he was just a proper box to box midfielder, really good at creating chances. But I think with this DEFCON or whatever you've called it,
yeah,
I think Elliot Anderson's a very good shout for you to have in your team, and could be one of those little whiz kids that you end up everyone having to need, but that just depends on how Forest start the season.
Yeah, I guess though, if like his baseline for points has gone up from 2 or 3 to now probably 4 or 5 if Forest keep clean sheets.
Yeah,
and then if you put in an attack in return there, he could be on for like a double-digit haul for a 5.5 million player.
Yeah,
I think he would have scored like 145, 146 last year if those points were added, which was like 4 behind Eze.
Oh dear.
So yeah, there's a lot to take in with this. Some shouts in the chat for underrated players that could go on to do well this year. Semenyo, I like that one. Bournemouth have pretty much kept all their attackers, so I think they'll still be a pretty decent attack. John Aries has joined the Premier League for Wolves. Obviously, if you played Club World Cup Fantasy, you know he was an absolute gem. Daniel Marlon, people are looking at as well. Obviously, joined from Dortmund in January. Visser, people are saying as well, if he goes to Newcastle as Isak replacement. And then Thiago as well. The striker that Brentford signed last year for big money. Didn't really play too much, but that was because of injuries. Could also be a potential shout as well. So some good shouts in the chat there. Appreciate those guys. I'm trying to think if I've got any other questions for you, mate. Any rogue questions that I always ask you?
Well, I've got a question here. I've got a what's the word where you put something to someone?
A proposition?
A proposition, that's the one.
Okay, yeah.
That was my question. That's it.
Yeah, okay.
No, my proposition. I'm probably I don't know if this works, but in my head, I think that there was a challenge here that I can't work out whether it's a stupid one or not. But I'm going to say it now that I've started.
Go on.
How much do you like? Do you still run, or do you just tend to do like weightlifting and shit?
I now do incline treadmill.
Right. Because
Right.
I'm just thinking,
Okay.
just to get me, it's more to get me out the house, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah.
You could do, right,
Oh God.
each week to see what scores we get.
Oh no.
If you get better than me, say
Yeah.
you get 100 points and I get 90 points,
Yeah.
I have to do 10k that week.
10.
Yeah, across the week.
Right.
So God forbid, say you were to get like
Uh...
125 points, I get 43. I've got to somehow get 70k down me. And that could be, to be fair though, that's not even that hard to see because you can cycle,
Right.
you could run, you could walk, just some kind of exercise.
Oh dear. What have you proposed here?
Well, you should be sound, mate, because you're FPL Tom.
Well, I am FPL Tom, but I know from playing our head-to-head league how these one game week bollocks goes.
No, but I'm not talking about one game week ahead. I'm talking
Ah,
about each week we face it. Just between me and you, we just look at it each week on this stream. We go, oh, you got 90 this week, I got 81.
yeah.
Oh, looks like I'm doing 9k across this next week.
Right. Okay. All right. I'm game. Let's sign up for it.
Yeah?
Let's do it. Let's do it. It's when I'm doing like a 400-mile run.
Yeah, it's when you've triple captained someone and he's got 200 points on his own.
I'm just
But no,
trying.
I think well, actually, oh, you can't see the scores from last year, can you?
No. I'm just thinking like incline treadmill for me is about 40 minutes is about 3k. So I'd need to do like if I lost, I'd probably only be able to lose like by like 9 or 10 points.
Well, maybe there's something you can. Maybe it doesn't have to be specifically a point per kilometer. It could be something else you have to do. I don't know.
All right. Okay.
Um, maybe it's that's how many minutes exercise you
Oh
have
my
to do.
god.
Yeah, but that's nothing, isn't it? Because like, let's be serious. You're not going to beat me by any more than 100 points.
True. Okay.
So 100 points, like, so if anything, that's a bit of a cop out because most of the time, I imagine, I'd say the average will get more than one another would be what, 30 points?
Yeah. 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 Okay. All right. I'm game for this. I'm
There's
game for this.
something in there, I know there is.
All right.
I'm just hoping for like this by the end of this season for me to be on the stream and not to have these fucking cheeks. But then again, at the same time, if I do, that means I've absolutely piped you.
It does. It does. Like it's one of those where it's like you could pipe me and embarrass me,
Or I could look a bit better.
or you could be like trim and like oof, hitting some
So,
Rizzlers.
so then when I start going balls deep on these weird decisions, it's all just for exercise. Oh, there was some logic in there. I think it makes sense, but yeah, it's an idea to re-reckon with come game week one
Yeah. What about
finishing.
if it was like 0.5 kilometers?
Well, how's that gonna happen? How are you
No,
gonna beat me by 0.5?
per point is 0.5.
Yeah, right.
Because that I think that's more feasible. Because if I beat you by 10, you're only doing a 5k then,
All right, okay,
and
okay,
I
let's do
think
that.
that's more achievable.
And if you beat me by 100,
Yeah, if I beat you by 100 one week, then the game's gone in it really.
there you're gonna have to do 10k a day. But then, like I say, it's not necessarily you have to go and run that and make yourself sick.
Yeah.
It's just get out.
All
Get
right.
out.
Okay. I'm
And
game
I
for
like
this.
that. So 0.5 per point. Okay.
Yeah. All right. I think we can agree to that. That sounds like a good measure. Cool.
Sound.
Cool. I have absolutely nothing else for you, mate. I'm all out. If you're all out, I think we'll call it.
No. I feel like everyone else knows we're all out with the conversation we've just had.
Well,
This could
yeah.
have been had off air.
It could have been had off air, but I'm glad it happened on air. People like the idea in the chat, Jake. Abby's a big fan of it. Zaxy's a big fan of it. Jojo seems a big fan of it. They're all for it, mate. They're all for it. Obviously, me and Jake are going to try and do these every game week. Life gets in the way. We all know that. But yeah, we'll try and do them every week. We'll definitely put in another one before the season starts as well take a look at how our drafts are doing. If you want to get your draft rated for free by the Fantasy Football Hub AI, go and use the pinned comment as well. Much appreciated. And yeah, someone said, who's going to win the league before we go? Quickly, go. If you say Liverpool, then you're biased.
Sunderland.
Yeah, Brentford, mate.
Sound.
That'll do it. Right. We'll see you very, very shortly. Thank you for everybody coming out. And thanks again for 15k subscribers. In a bit.